And welcome to the post-show podcast, I'm trying to call it now?
Post-show podcast, talk a little bit about the opponent.
Everybody, last
little
week,
college football.
little college football, little everything. And I was going to bring up the subject matter of obviously last week's game first with you. One thing I noticed, and just maybe I'm just, I'm looking too much into things, but when we showed up on Friday night, Lehigh, I don't know how much they've been in the playoffs over the last few years,
Right.
but the sense of
That was their first home playoff game in a long, long time.
well, that's what I was going to say. You can tell when somebody's been there and somebody hasn't been there for a while because it was just had a different look to them. They didn't look like they were. I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about the players. Everybody involved
Right.
in the whole thing. It was a whole new experience for them.
Right.
And as we walk in the field, and I always kind of brag about how the mechanism is all in place. Like this person's going here, he's picking it. We're always
Right.
everybody knows their role for all these years, and you can almost see that there's a distinct advantage to having had that experience. I don't know how you feel the same way or not, but
Well, I think we approach every game the same, but obviously in the playoffs, we've been there for the last, 14 years?
yeah,
I think last 14 years, and we've had our time where we lost some games we shouldn't have won,
Yeah.
or should have won.
yeah.
And we've had some times, you walk away from there, and and you have a sickness in your gut about, man, we should not be going home right now.
Yeah.
We should be playing, and that's really, really, that's really hard to take as a coach, and it's hard to take. One of the hardest things is when you have a team that you feel is capable and a good team, and kids you want to be around and you want to coach longer.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That makes it harder. I mean, obviously, one of the most special groups, at least for me, coaching was our first group. With Trey Burton and Brandon Wilkinson and Clay Burton and those guys. Those guys that were started took it got that big win and won the district as sophomores, probably when we shouldn't have.
Right.
They weren't quite ready. And
Big
then,
steps at that point.
And then their junior year, we're 11-0 and we lost the second round, and then you coming into the next year, we're nationally ranked, we're playing on the ESPN, and we lose the first round. I mean, that was tough, losing to a good St. Pete team, but not a St. Pete team that should have beat us. And then the following year, in 2010, when our team wasn't as good as they were in 2009, we go down there and face St. Pete's best team ever
and beat them.
Yeah. On the road. So I think, as a staff, we've been together a long time. Coach Wyline and Coach Shannon and Coach Bartlett and Coach Butler, and we've coached together for a long, long time. And then we've added some new guys that, Coach Wales and Coach Burton, who were
there. Yeah, they were around. Yeah, so they were players on those teams.
And then we've also added some guys that have had a big experience, a lot of experience in the playoffs, and Coach Bonner and Coach Riles, who were at Booker and who played in the state championship at Booker and
Right.
went to the semifinals in Booker and played a lot of, coached in a lot of playoff games. So I think one thing, it's definitely, the heat is on, the pressure's on, but at the same time, once you've been there and you know what it takes, you kind of have maybe a quiet confidence.
Well, that's what I think you said about there's been additions to the coaching staff.
Right.
Everybody comes with their different tack from where they've been, and some people have had success at different levels and whatever it may be. But it seems like there's almost like an assimilation to whatever. Like they see the old school core guys who are taking the game in a certain manner. It's obviously
Right.
there's a bit of it's not, I want to say relaxed. That sounds a little too cliche, but there's a calmness to it. Been here, we know what we're doing here. We're very, very precise about when we go out to warm up, when we do our stretch, when we do this, and some of that regimen. I think after a while you look at them like, well, darn, they never miss the time. They're always on time for this. They're always on time. They're always doing their walkthrough at a certain time and everything else. So I think after a while, I think there's a recognition that I have to be as on point as they are.
And then also, there's also, I have a couple of coaches that have been head coaches.
Yeah.
And Coach Riles has been a head coach, and Coach Heyer has been a head coach, and Coach Hunter has been a head coach. So those guys kind of understand a different side of it. That's hard to see as an assistant, but I think they understand the importance of a lot of things and kind of what's going through my mind about everything.
Absolutely, they're looking at it from, they're an assistant, but they've been on that side of it, so they know the importance of doing it the right way and being prepared and all.
But
that
I think like you said, if you take our staff now and you put us back in 2009, we don't lose that game.
Right.
It's just a lot of things like, when you first take over a program and you want to do all these things and you think, well, it doesn't matter. He's so what? He's coached and has 150 wins, and you're thinking, so who cares?
Right.
And I tell you what, you learn a lot of things through the process. You really do.
The idea, there's so many little nuances. There's little things. A game turns here and there with certain situations, and it's a recognition because as you go through the playoffs, especially in the playoffs, everybody's just that much better. So it's not going to be a whitewash. It's going to be, we had a game. It was a running clock. Okay, but now we fully expect this to be a regional championship level type of game.
Right.
If you look at based on RPI or just reputation of the teams, or whatever you want to say about that, and now you look at it and you say, so you've got to be on point. You've got to be ready to go because this is the one that everyone counts this as much, but this now you're getting to the margin for error is that much less.
Right. Each week. Obviously, it gets a little tougher. We've been blessed in the playoffs the last few years where really our early games have been absolute blowouts.
We've had a few,
except the Braden River games where we were able to really play well and we were prepared, and that's kind of how I feel now. I'm not saying I feel like we're having a blowout by any means. Not saying that. I'm saying I feel like we're prepared. I feel like we've grown up a lot. We do have a young team. There's no hiding that. We have a young team, and but at the same time, there's got to be something to what we put them through as far as the schedule and the people we played, and I think that's starting to show up now. Like there's no flinching. Like we're not gonna show up, and St. Francis is not gonna be in the field.
You said you had a banquet. You dusted off the 5-4.
Yep.
You came at it, and the results were what they were. You saw a very motivated, very well, I'd say mature group of people compared to where they were game one. I think that you've seen the maturity in that situation. I think that bodes well. Obviously bodes well because you hope for that maturity to keep growing, and then you say, okay, now we build off that success.
Right.
And so that success is the 49-0 win, and then on to the next game. And again, we talked a little earlier about Palm Beach Lakes, and you had said football team, big offensive line, just. They're probably deserving of that number one seed right now.
Yes. If you go, like I said, if you go 10-0, you are deserving of a number one seed. There's no doubt about it. And they've played some good football teams. If you look at it beginning of the year, everyone's saying, okay, well, that team down there is going to be Dwyer.
Right.
And Dwyer,
they've been the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Dwyer. As soon as Jack Daniels retired, they kind of fell apart. Mm-hmm. Not saying they're going to continue to struggle, but a lot of people had their way with Dwyer this year, and it really came down to Palm Beach Central and not Palm Beach Central, but Palm Beach Lakes and
it's not the Sawgrass Ridge team.
Yeah, another team down there.
Yeah.
But, who played? I want to say they played Mitchell.
Okay. Yeah. Sawgrass Ridge.
Yeah. So. Those two teams came out of it, so that was surprising. And hey, it's round two, and really round 2 is big boy football. It's after this week, there's going to be 8 teams left,
and that slims down quick. Just to kind of how it'll turn around for us this year. A lot of years we've talked about it. Second round you're playing Braden River. Second round you're playing Armwood. Second round you're playing somebody. You're like, oh, we're playing a really good team. I mean, maybe better than any other, maybe some of the district champions. Right. So probably a little bit of a table turner for us. We're the one. Palm Beach Lakes is probably saying, "Oh, damn, we're playing Venice."
Right.
They've got that situation, and I know, again, just by seeding in some way, we're coming in as this. Who are they? Are they the 5-4 team, or the team that just beat the heck out of Lehigh?
Right.
And I think there's going to be a little bit of that.
Yeah, are they the team that beat
side.
Trinity, or are they the team that beat Cocoa, or who are they? And I think that's probably what I've been trying to say all night is I feel like we're getting more consistent.
That's it. I agree.
And we had this. Friday night was the first game I walked away from going, wow, we played well.
Yeah, there was a sense of satisfaction.
Even you go back to the Trinity win and you go to the Cocoa win, we didn't walk away from there saying we played well. We walked away from there saying, man, we'd let those guys hang around. We didn't play well.
I'm using the word flow. There was no flow. Every game was like kind of had a good little stretch and then really bad stretch, and then something happened and some weird delay. It didn't seem like very choppy. And
good play, penalty, bad play. It was just a nightmare.
And the fact that we had 3 running backs, all contributed, all had close to 100 yards rushing, and it was like, okay, who's in the backfield now? It doesn't matter.
Right, we couldn't do that at the beginning of the year. We had Taylor was the only proven guy that we trusted really, and DJ kind of came on a little like maybe week 4 or 5, and then now we have Chevy coming along, and that's been a blessing, and it seems like every week Chuck Brantley's around the football and getting a turnover, or he's had some great kickoff returns, but it seems like each week, this past week he had a fumble recovery and almost 2 fumble recoveries. So we're going to be playing a team that's going to throw the ball, and they throw the ball quickly, and they take some chances, and hopefully we're able to make some plays.
Yeah, I think, again, based on even last week, they had some home run hitters on Lehigh, and we were able to kind of keep them in check. And as a matter of fact, I don't really think, I'm trying to remember, maybe Trinity Christian a little bit, but not a lot of plays over the top on us as far as passing is concerned.
Trinity Christian is probably the only game that
and that receiver was special too.
They had a night that they haven't had all year. I mean, they were on, the quarterback was right on the money, and the receiver did a great job. I mean, that was just kind of one of those deals where, hey, they were on that night. And but we haven't given up big pass plays, consistently all year. I mean, we've been pretty solid in the passing game. We've had a couple pass interference calls, that we've had interceptions on and things like that. But I think that we've played really good coverage in the secondary.
Yeah,
Coach Bartlett always does a good job. I've always praised him. And as far as one thing we're not going to do is get beat deep. And this year we're really playing with some confidence, and those guys are breaking up on the ball, and it's almost like 5-6 years ago we're playing don't throw the ball, try to run the ball on us, and now you're like, these jokers just put the ball in the air, like we have a chance to every time the ball's in the air and us, I'm like, are we going to pick it?
Yeah, it's a 50-50 ball almost. Yeah, no doubt. All right, so with that, I'll let everybody know, as of right now, we still don't know whether or not we're going to be able to do the live stream. It's a matter of getting permission from the state and then figuring out all the fees and whatever else it may be, because each market has a different level of fees or whatever, how the state puts it together. So working on that right now. Hopefully we'll have some answers, and we're going to put it out on social media and anywhere we can to let people know if that is the case, if that does turn out to be that we do get the live stream. If not, again, we want everybody to show up.
Yeah, also if there's anybody that is interested in sponsoring the game, I know Jenkins Chevrolet is a sponsor for the live stream, but if there's anybody else that wants to sponsor the game Friday night,
because
and pay that fee.
And I'll say when we win on Friday, we're going to be on the road again the next week, and the next week, so it's going to be there's nothing but road games.
So if there's any businesses out there that are interested in sponsoring, or not even so much, not so much sponsoring, but paying that fee, whatever that fee may be. And I don't think it's astronomical. So you can reach out to me on Twitter, or you can send me an email at the school if you're interested in sponsoring the game Friday night, and there won't be any issues. We'll have it on there, and you can have a
2.5 hours,
30-second commercial.
That's it.
You and Jenkins Chevrolet,
or something there.
Whatever works for you. I mean, you know how many timeouts there are. You'll commercial play every time. It'll be annoying almost.
It's all right though. It's a good way to get annoyed. All right, we'll flip over to a little college football since we had a big old game on Saturday, Alabama LSU. I'll ask you, coach's perspective. I thought it was a great game. I thought it was. While it wasn't edge of your seat the entire time. I thought it was just a well played physical football game.
It reminded me of our Manatee game.
Okay.
I mean, Alabama could not have started any worse. They drove down the field, and the quarterback just dropped the ball, and then LSU scored, and then we returned not we, but Alabama returned the favor with a drop punt, or basically a punt block.
Sure.
And it was 14-0 before anyone knew what was going on.
And again, you're
great fight back. I mean, Alabama did a great job fighting back.
And I thought that was the from my perspective, that's what made the game great. LSU played with the lead the entire game.
Right.
Okay, they did a great job. They scored 46 points against one of the best defenses in the country, which is hats off to them. They couldn't do that for 25 years. I mean, they wanted to win 9-6 football games, and now they're winning 46-41 football games, which is a heck of a turnaround. But that being the case, Alabama's ability to kind of get off the mat and keep going and keep going, it just says a lot about them. I even said, I was kind of like, I didn't want to see two SEC teams in there, but I don't know if Alabama takes care of business the next couple of games and they have the one loss and it's LSU.
I'm pretty sure we're going to see a rematch on 1 versus 4 early on.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that's going to be based on that game. It won't be oh no, it'll be oh yeah. People are going to say, I want to see that. I want to see part 2 of that because it had enough left in the tank to have a part 2.
Yeah, I mean, you take away those 2 mistakes early, that's a different ballgame.
Yeah, because then you wouldn't expect it from a Nick Saban team, but LSU forced them into a lot of those things.
Yeah.
2 was a fumble. Hey, you know what? He wasn't going to make it to the goal line, and he was thinking of a way he was going to juke somebody, and he forgot about the ball. So again, a little bit of that was forced on there. One other thing I'll take from that game, wasn't quite sure if Joe Burrow could keep throwing the ball at 80%. Wasn't quite sure if that was just again.
Him and the running back
pixie
were
dust was going to come
phenomenal.
off. Ridiculous. That running back, Hilaire, whatever. That guy, he is the prototype pro. I mean, he's that stout 5'8" running back who you can't see him. And he's behind that line, and he does a little pirouette in the backfield. You don't know which way he's coming.
He played an unbelievable game, and so did Burrow. I was really, really impressed with him.
Yeah, no, I think it's his Heisman to lose at this point.
Yeah.
I don't see they're talking about the kid, the end from Ohio State having an opportunity, but I think he lost his opportunity with his money taking that he took. And a couple other guys, I mean, Jalen Hurts, I think he's sort of come back to earth a little bit with Oklahoma, kind of not that. I mean, they're a one-loss team that's not everybody's looking very highly at. So, but I said it's still shaping up to be a nice little thing. I think the Pac-10 teams have kind of crawled back into a little bit. It's nice to see them maybe get a little love, and then again, it'll still shake itself out a little bit with some of the later games in the year.
No, it will.
And everybody, a lot of people complain about the conference championship games. I like them, because it's that you're looking at that 4, 5, 5th, that 4th place in the playoffs. Those conference games can shake it out or propel somebody one way or the other. Like, hey, heck, if Georgia wins out and they go play LSU with one loss, they're in. They're playing to get in if Georgia runs the table.
Well, it's almost like a 1 versus 5 scenario.
Right.
It's already they have a 3-game playoff.
It is the first round of the playoffs in a lot of cases. Not every conference, but in that conference.
Because it's almost like this. It's almost if LSU loses the SEC championship game, I want to say this kind of happened a couple years ago where Bama ended up jumping because they won late and didn't lose late.
They kind of backdoored their way into the thing, and then they ended up winning. They were from the 4th
That's
seed.
the year they won.
Right.
Yeah, but if Georgia beats LSU, wow, that's
a lot of ifs. But
Georgia still has to beat Auburn
to this
and
week.
then Alabama has to beat Auburn as well.
Yes, because Auburn has
there's still a lot of football left.
Auburn, like Florida, has not lost a slouch.
Right.
They've played some pretty good teams, and they've played them well. They might have the best defensive line in the SEC. I mean, those guys are big and they bring it.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of I think their Achilles heel is they have a freshman quarterback.
Yeah, there's still an awful lot of football that we played. Well, speaking of the
yeah, that's when I go to that. We got our picks.
So the picks last week, you were 2-3 again. You're steady 2-3, which is a loser, by the way.
Yeah, I'm 40%. I'm poor.
You're losing money.
I'm a poor man if that's the case.
And I came out and I was perfect, 0-5 last week. I
went. You're gonna be perfect. That's not the way to go.
I went Bama, I went Georgia Southern, I went South Carolina, who got upset by App State. Georgia got spanked by Troy, and obviously we just talked about the Alabama LSU. I went Oklahoma, Iowa State, and that was a 1-point game. And then I went Kentucky as a favorite over Tennessee, and Tennessee pulled it out. And then Kentucky was up, but pulled it out. So this week I'm going to go. I'm going back with Alabama. Okay, I think that it's probably going to be a pretty uncomfortable environment at Alabama this week.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
I think that I'm pretty sure Nick Saban's not going to want to lose 2 in a row, and I think that they're going to have a really big game against Mississippi State. I'm going Virginia Tech -5.5 at Georgia Tech. I think that Georgia Tech is not. I think they're a year away. Because you're coming off the
coaching change.
Yeah, coaching change, being a
total
option team. I don't think they're quite ready yet. I'm going Georgia over Auburn.
Okay.
It's a 3-point game. I think Georgia is in do or die mode now, and they've got something to prove, and they're going to try to do everything they can to make the playoffs. And I'm going LSU -21 versus Ole Miss. I think this spread is a little low, because I think people are waiting for a let-up, and I don't think there's going to be a let-up. I think there's going to be, I think they're going to play with a little more confidence and play well, and I don't think Ole Miss is up for that challenge yet. And then I'm going to go Oklahoma -10 over Baylor. And I know Baylor's undefeated, correct?
Yes.
But I just don't think they're played the same folks or on the same level as Oklahoma.
They had a 9-9 game.
I just don't think
overtime
if they're going 9-9, they're not going to hold Oklahoma to 9.
No. So I feel good about this because we picked 3 of the same games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's good because I think I told you when I came here tonight, I wasn't quite comfortable with a lot of the games, some of the spreads. I just didn't see one that sometimes you see a game like, oh, that's got to happen or whatever.
Right.
I saw none of it this week. So either the guy.
Whenever you see that, go the opposite way.
Right. So but the spreads, so they were good. So I'm going to go. I'm following you. Alabama -21 over Mississippi State. Again, I just think Saban's got something. They're coming off that game, and they got something to prove. The only thing I was hesitant about that game, will they hold 2 out of that game?
I don't think it matters.
I don't either. That's why I stick with the 21. And Mississippi State has been underachieving all year.
And I think even the backup quarterback.
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones.
Yeah.
He played well the last time he started.
He did. There was very little drop off. Almost taking Virginia Tech -5.5 over Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech is, again, they're not quite there. I'm gonna ride the wave of my Virginia Tech win from last week. By the way, the 2-3 last week, I was wrong on State, wrong on Boston College, Florida State. I was right on Virginia Tech getting 2 over Wake. I was right on Kansas State and Texas, and I was wrong on Missouri getting 17. They couldn't score a point against Georgia, so that would anything would have been good. I would have probably covered there. All right, back to my picks. I'm going with Kentucky -8.5 over Vandy. I watched Vandy against Florida live this week.
Ooh, that's a good
They
game.
don't have any offense. I mean, they just don't. And Kentucky's defense is good, and I think Kentucky can run all over Vandy. I think 8.5 is a good number.
I like that pick.
Auburn +2.5 over UGA.
It's 3, Coach.
Okay, I'll take 3.
You're taking Auburn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting 3. Only thing what I like about it is I think it's one of these games that Auburn has played everybody tough. They have not had any blowouts. They're close. Georgia, again, did not look very good against Missouri, against a depleted Missouri. Their starting quarterback was out. A little bit of a rainy night, but again, they haven't scored over 20. They've been in the low 20s in most of their games, and I think Auburn can keep it close, if not upset them. I wouldn't be totally surprised, but I think it's going to be close. And then I'm thinking LSU -21 over Ole Miss. Again, both Mississippi schools this year in the SEC have been underachieving. Ole Miss, I haven't really seen much out of them. And I think LSU is just. I think now it's. Sometimes you get that momentum, and I don't think there's a letdown in these guys. I think that Alabama game is not like, hey, we won, or we're gonna. I think now let's go out and just go. They might get better. I mean, they might just start getting even better.
That's kind of what I think is. I don't think it was a fluke. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I think that Alabama made mistakes, and I think going into that game, if they weren't ready for the challenge, and Alabama could have overcome those mistakes.
Right.
But making those mistakes and against a good football team, and now they know, like, hey, we just got to play, and they didn't make mistakes.
No, LSU 2 years ago, I would have taken Ole Miss with the points, because LSU 2 years ago
couldn't score.
Would have beaten Alabama 12-9. Would have come out against an Ole Miss team and gotten behind by 14 and couldn't score to catch up, or beat them by 3.
Right.
That's the kind of thing. So that's why I think it's a totally different game. I will say one thing: I never thought Ed Orgeron was going to be much as a head coach. Sort of has that, Fred Flintstone kind of, I don't know, but he's just got a weird way about him. I've heard old stories from some coaches I know about Coach O and how he's a bit of a weird dude. But it looks like he's matured. Looks like he's taken that personality that he recruits with and refined it into something, and he's applying
confidence.
That. Right. I think, and again, you can't replace the fact that he's got two or three fantastic assistant coaches, guys that now I'm thinking are going to be getting plucked from his staff.
Right.
To take this. You got Ensminger, who's the offense coordinator. You got Aranda, who's the highest paid assistant coach in college football. I don't know if they're not picked off that team to be head coaches somewhere else.
They gave one of them a raise this week, I want to say.
Well, they have to. I mean, because you see what happens and you see that kind of stuff. You know that, hey, we're going to keep this together going forward, because you don't forget, 3 weeks is the first signing day for recruiting. So that's another big deal. With that, before we get going tonight, Coach, I know we've had some kids who have verbaled in it. How is that going as far as our players are concerned?
It's going good. Obviously, Schrader and Malachi were both committed to Florida State, so I think they both kind of neither of them have come out and said they decommit, but they have opened up options. They have opened up their recruiting, and they're going to take some trips and continue to look around. Because obviously you don't know
who it's a mystery.
Right.
And if I'm Florida State,
who knows? I mean, Florida State, they might hire Paul Johnson, and it's a
going option.
Why would Malachi want to go there?
Right.
So, or who knows? Who knows what it could be? Or they could hire Mike Leach.
Right. And then you want to be
then
there.
you're like, yep, this is where I want to go.
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends on what's going on and how they figure it out.
By the way, I will say, they get kind of if they hired Mike Leach, I think that would be a heck of a hire. Because I mean, if you're gonna deal with a lot of kind of wackiness. He thinks he's a pirate, all this different stuff. But what a name to bring in there to
score some points. You traditionally can play some tough defense.
Right.
Wow, that would be interesting.
The only thing I would, if you could lure a guy like that, and again, he's not the that. You're not stealing
it'd probably be pretty easy to get him there, because I know he loves fishing.
Yeah, no, he thinks he's a pirate. He thinks he's like should be on the water somewhere. Yeah. Now, if Florida State was in Key West, he probably would be there already.
Well, he used to be the head coach at Marathon.
That's what I'm saying.
He said he would still be there, but they fired him.
So, I mean, that's something for sure that would be interesting. And anyway, back to the recruiting thing. Anybody else kind of on the
Ryan Overstreet just received a preferred walk-on to Washington State, speaking to Mike Leach.
Oh, okay.
What a great spot to go if you're a quarterback.
Right. Because he's gonna if Abe's gonna get you to get something out of you, he's gonna get something out of you. Look at what happened with Hinshaw.
You want to.
Or Minshaw.
Minshew.
Yeah.
So if you're a quarterback, that's probably where you want to go. Or you're a receiver, that's probably where you want to go. So that's pretty cool. I saw it today. I was really excited to say, wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And who knows? Ryan could go there and be the leading passer in the country.
Well, you go with Mike Leach, you might sit on the bench for 3 years, but you're going to learn a lot. And when you get in the field, you're going to know it. You're going to read defenses and throw it around the field. That's
exactly.
for sure. So anyway, and then so yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think now has the early recruiting process or the early signing has the recruiting process changed a little bit? More pressure to commit earlier?
Everything's speeded up tremendously. I mean, it used to be where you're taking your trips and January and December, and then people are really committing and on the spot there, to where now it's like your sophomore year,
right?
Your senior year really doesn't really mean anything.
No, so. No, it's done. You've got to be you're good to go by that point. Like, how many kids go early entry?
Right.
They're prepping for that. They know where they're going to go, and they get it all taken care of. All right, so I think
That's
we hit the
our time.
half-hour mark. Yeah, we did. So again, guys, 7 o'clock. Okay, remember 7 o'clock on Friday night.
7 o'clock. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be posted everywhere.
Yeah, so 7 o'clock Friday night, Palm Beach Lakes versus Venice.
Hopefully, we'll be updating and letting you know. Vibrant Aspect will be streaming the game. And again, if anyone is interested, or any business interested in advertising or sponsoring that game, and you want to pay that fee, and like I said, I don't think it's a big fee at all. Just send me an email, call the school, and I don't have a direct line there, but just send me an email, my school email, or reach out to me on Twitter.
All right, guys. Once again, thanks for joining us here from Off the Wagon for our post-show podcast, and we'll see you guys on Friday night and again next week here at Off the Wagon. See you later.